Hi, welcome. On this video, this is part two of my response by way of the anti-dog trainer attempting to answer what I call the question. It's also a statement of the century as it relates to a real picture of change with between dogs and owners in terms of the criteria, the process, and how those core ingredients come together, are reconciled by way of a intentional interaction-based process by way of diminishment of unwanted behavioral issues based on perception of dogs changing and a better relationship for dogs and owners. And so in the last video, I showed where, Kevin Murdoch skipped over the most important part, okay? Skipped over how the core ingredients themselves are reconciled. Okay, so the example I use is even the waiting for of food versus, again, you see how I'm doing it. And I showcased that on the video I put out prior on my YouTube channel, showing the differences, okay? But though that difference, okay, that's like a critical piece, okay? That's where, you talk about the criteria to be able to discern, to establish that perception of changing. Well, there it is, okay? That is the critical piece. And again, he just skipped right over that. And then again, start talking about again, going to the superficial level, right? So, he talks about not using treats and not this and not that. Well, that's all fine, okay? But it goes deeper than that. So you talk about the social aspect of, gaining insight into the social aspect of the dynamic between dog and human. But again, this whole kind of quasi Cesar Millan like approach, well, it's problematic, and I show that. So the point of contention, even with these trainers, why do you think they go on about how the leash is used? Certain tools, and then even certain reactions of dogs. They again look at the Jeff Gelman situation, how these trainers just piled on to that situation, labeling things that are, as abuse that aren't abuse. It's confusion, right? And doesn't make sense to the dog. So you get a startled reaction, such as the Gelman situation. But a lot of these trainers, they will, they'll pile on situations and they'll gin up. This is why you see in the comments section with these trainers, the same individuals I ban off my channel for that type of inflammatory kind of rhetoric and trying to get personal. I remove those people. But guys like the anti-dog trainer, they play into that, right, for whatever reason, to elevate themselves, to try to gain something, right? I don't do that stuff. So even the personal attacks part of this stuff, once these trainers want to get personal, I'm gonna respond to it, but again, doing my best, okay, to stick to information. That's my goal. So I want to mention too, put a kind of a plug in for those who are watching my series. My hope is that you're gaining a lot through these videos. If you're a trainer, if you're a dog owner, and if you're maybe looking to become a trainer, okay, I want to mention I have a course coming up in February for 1 week here in St. Cloud, Florida. It's a great opportunity considering, again, everything happening in the dog training world, to align yourself with the system of training that makes sense, okay, that goes deeper, that aligns properly, that truly helps dogs and owners the right way, and answers questions. And so it's a 1 week course. There's availability. There's two courses that need to be done prior to. They're available on my website. They're online those two courses are online courses. Lots of time to complete those. They provide a foundation, certain terms, certain concepts, to prepare you for the in-person course where you bring in a dog. It's a 1 week intensive course. There's lots of information. It's instructional. It's hands-on. So it's a great opportunity again to move forward in terms of going to the next level, is however you want to call it. That's really what it is. It's like understanding what training represents. So to say it's up in February, I would encourage you to check out on my website, caninepack.com. Okay, that's my website, and you can check it out there. Details about the courses and how to register and all that. And like I said, the importance of the core ingredients being reconciled is absolutely critical. So here, let's play some more of this video where again, anti-dog trainer attempts to answer the question of the century.
That goes a long fucking way with women. Goes a long way with your dog too.
Let me switch back over here to the right video. Here we go.
Called for are now gone. In the case of Clark, who I just got another update from his owner last night, Clark the resource guarding dog, that was all about the social interaction, and you know, it's been 5 days since I took him home. They're still having great success at home.
So again, you know, the whole thing was success, okay? Defining success. A lot of trainers talk about success within the framework of certain responses, right? But again, the question is, how do you establish that, you know, that those responses can be trusted? What defines success? Well, again, the criteria reconciled, okay, to a specific, you know, interaction-based method, okay? That's the right conversation. That's what's going to provide the clarity. That's going to provide the answers, okay? Absolutely critical. So again, here with the anti-dog trainer, you see he just skipped. He jumped over how that comes together properly. He goes into this type of superficial thing again. Okay, so and then tries to lead with, well, let's talk about success. Okay, well, okay, let's talk about the process. Okay, let's talk about making sure you have a proper picture of change and not deceived into believing things that aren't true. Okay, let's talk about that, right? That's where I go.
So we are seeing a diminishment in the behavior, very serious behavior that I was called for. But that was not within the framework of superficial response.
So it still is, because here's the thing, you know, and understand that this is a problem. That's how people get blindsided. You know, you look at the Cesar Millan Holly video I put out on my that's the problem. You deal with some, especially some dogs that are called, I call them 1 percentile dogs. You know, don't be deceived. I mean, you know, the specifics of how that, you know, method gets in their pond. Okay, and how I kind of describe this. And if you ever seen the Jack Nicholson movie The Shining, okay, if you remember the maze scene, like that big maze, that, you know, the bushes, the big maze that Jack Nicholson gets trapped in at the end and ends up like freezing to death. You know, I kind of use that example sometimes to describe like the mind of the dog. Okay, and so when you get into dogs that are, I call it 1 percentile dogs, dogs that have a higher level of drive, well, that maze gets to that level of bigger and bigger and bigger, where, you know, influence and control, right, being reconciled matters, because it's about shading in that area, you know. And what dogs will do is they're able to kind of work the system, okay, so that if you're not intentional with actually influence control, you know, coming together through touch, okay, through being expressed the way I show it, what happens is it might appear like you have certain responses going on from appearances, right? And the dog is still saying, "Nah, I still own it. Yeah, I have limited options here, so I have to wait, but I still own that food." And then suddenly, kaboom! You're like, "I don't understand. I had, you know, responses going on. It gave me offered up the image of change, but like, what the heck happened?" I'll tell you what happened. Okay, exactly my point, right? That conversation wasn't that way where it resolved anything. You know, this is why appearances are so deceiving. So when you hear these trainers go on about success, I would question any picture that this trainer or any other trainer is putting forward to try to define success. The only way to know is that those core ingredients come together, which is going to reveal and change. The way I'm telling you, I know. Okay. I mean, it's really deceptive, okay? And you can, again, you put everything I say to the test. You deal with a food aggressive dog, go for it. Have the dog wear a muzzle. If you watch the Hildegard videos I put out, it's a great illustration of that. You know, the owner suspecting, well, I think, you know, Hildegard might have a food issue, but, you know, it looks like it could be kind of sketchy, but not really sure, and getting the dog to wait and all that stuff. The dog came in the board and train. The teeth came out. Okay, because again, person, right? But resolving, right? It's like, but it's got to hold together too. Some issue like that, or some issues got to really, even with the method being reconciled, it's got to hold together for a period of time because that becomes very entrenched. Okay, you get to this entrenchment level with some of these dogs, it'll change, but I might have to hold together a long time. Okay, these are the things that matter. These are the things that the anti-dog trainer doesn't. He's not dialed into. So when I have certain conversations, he can just sit back and whatever critique, try to critique or whatever. I'm telling you, that's what it is, right? That matters.
That was all about a power struggle.
Power struggle.
Because as Dale likes to say, what defines a process? Well, it's a power struggle.
See, so we can kind of say the right things in a certain way, but you have to get into the fine details of it. That's the thing. It's like these trainers will say power struggle. Like they say certain words that sound great, and I can agree that okay, but what does that actually mean? Like let's get in. It's like I mentioned about the ingredients, making bread. Like how do those ingredients come together? That matters big time. Matters. Before I go on, I just want to mention that I actually found there it is, my perfect snowman mug the other day. Okay. Always big on Christmas, and I've been looking for a snowmen. I found the ultimate snowman mug, and there he is, Frosty the Snowman. You can't get any more real and authentic than that. So, says it must be magic. So I'm using this mug, approaching Christmas. Just want to put it out there. Moment of pause here. So that's my special mug. And I do appreciate everyone who supports this system of training, who's follows this channel on Rumble. I encourage you to subscribe. I'm going to be a lot more consistent with putting video content out on Rumble and going through this. Because here's the thing, responding to this, I'll use it as a framework. These videos, to help other people. Because someone like the anti-dog trainer is never going to back out of this. Okay, never. But that's not the point. It's not me doing the videos to convince him of anything, right? Because you just go on and on and on. Some of these trainers, just like Christopher Upton, he passed away last year. Like he went on for years. It's upset at me, and I'm like, don't be upset. Like I'm just putting the information out. I wasn't trying to engage in a personal attack on Christopher Upton. In fact, a lot of the videos that when I got to that level, I took them down anyway. Before he passed away, I was just like, it was just like, why leave that stuff up? I mean, he left all his stuff up anyway, but it didn't, like, what are you gonna do? I mean, it wasn't about me trying to, do anything to, hurt him at a personal level. I mean, that already, he already went through that big controversy and had nothing to do with that. I was just putting information to say this is what for people who want to know. Here's the real deal. That's it. You can hate it, you can accept it, you can do whatever with it, but here it is. But I tell you, don't complain when the dog training world's the state that it's in. Don't complain when you're not able to reach a certain result with your dog. Don't complain about getting blindsided. Don't complain about any of it. Okay, I'm putting the information out. You may not like it, but it's the truth. Okay, so this is hard stuff for people to accept, but only because of what a lot of these trainers have done. Okay, they've sold out. They're there's so many of them doing this stuff that, of course I step forward and say some hard truth here. I mean, look at it. But then just, connect the dots here. Look at the dog training world. It's in such a mess. It's ridiculous.
The process is engaging in a power struggle.
The power struggle, that's right, but
to reestablish
not what he's talking about.
The relationship dynamic.
But you can go into a sort of a power struggle. You can bring, a certain level with interactions, right? But doesn't mean, like I said about the example of the maze, right? It's like some dogs like still got there's an area not shaded in there, okay? And for the 1 percentile dog, that's going to get you bit, okay? At a certain point, because what happens is because you're on the periphery, you're still dogs aren't stupid, okay? They're like, okay, he's not touching me. Say, I mentioned the example in another video with the lady who brought a service dog in. Dog went crazy at the point of actually putting the dog under just a a level of control. It wasn't over the top level or anything like that. It was just like the dog was moving faster, hoping she didn't touch the dog. Okay, just understand that it's a big deal. It's got to be the right conversation, the right type of interaction to bring those core ingredients into play.
On a social level. You want to go that way, girlfriend? Let's go. I don't think we've gone over there. I want to go. So I think we've just done it. We have made history.
Made history.
We've answered a question that doesn't even apply.
You didn't answer anything. All right, so there's no history here at all. There's the same history I see with all these trainers is like can't answer it, right? Because to answer it means you have to be in alignment with the right process to begin with, right? I mean, that's just it. So, it's the question of the century that can't be answered, but there's your problem, right? Just think about it. It goes to the heart of the matter.
Apply to us. Because as I state on my channel, I'm not a fucking dog trainer. I don't train dogs.
But he does train dogs. Okay, that doesn't even make sense. So he calls himself an anti-dog trainer. Does train it's this idea of trying to be different, right? Like everyone wants to be different. Everyone wants to pretend like they got something special that no one else has or whatever. And you see that a lot. You see that with Ivan Belanoff. You'll see that with Christopher Upton. See that with these trainers. They say, oh, we're in the special. We're not a balanced trainer. Well, no. It's about the criteria. It's about those core ingredients. It comes down to how are those reconciled or not reconciled, right? It's only one way. That's it.
I even had a client call me, if anybody's familiar with my work, Milo. Milo's owner texted me the other night and asked, hey, Kevin, I want to get Milo trained as a service dog. Do you do that? I said, no, I don't. I don't train. That's out of my wheelhouse. But I hope you find somebody who can. I don't build those sorts of skills in dogs. To me, it would be unethical for me to.
It's not about building skills, right? It's about the core ingredients. That's why the service dog training industry is a mess, right? Because, most trainers approach it as a learn-based exercise. And so you get these dogs that are attached, but in a possessive way. That's why you see the service dog training industry is a mess. They can't perform certain tasks that require the right focus. How's the right focus generated? Through the core ingredients coming together to change perceptions the right way. Okay, that's how. And so that's a process, right? Most trainers don't do it that way. So that's it.
Say, yeah, I'll do it. I don't do that. I've never have done it. It's just not something I do.
So stop it here because that's it. Okay, so he's saying he answered the question of the century. Didn't answer, can't answer it. In fact, the most important part of that, right? He jumped right over it. Right? That's the point. So, it's all appearances, right? It's all assumptions. It's the same thing. It's assumption based. So, there's no special category here. It's the issue about the core ingredients. How are they reconciled through the approach? It's the same thing, right? Says certain things, power play, but no, it goes more than that. It's very specific. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I'll be putting out more content again on my Rumble channel. Again, check out, I have a dog trainer course coming up in February. For those who are interested, I would encourage you, if you are, check it out. It's a great opportunity considering everything happening in the dog training world, and dog owners continue to struggle. They're looking for answers. Well, the system of training is a complete original source system. It answers the questions and certainly can help you as a trainer move forward and help others the right way. Thanks for watching.